Hello, my name is Abby Edwards, and this is my video defense for my paper for this course, which I've really enjoyed writing. I've been an adjunct professor for the past 5 years at both Winthrop University and a technical college called York Tech in Rock Hill, South Carolina. The title of my paper is called Treblinka, Unearthing the Ephemeral Death Camp that the Nazi Party Attempted to Erase from Memory. It really deals with the ethics of memory and what can be extrapolated just from witness testimony of a historic event. And so that's kind of where I ended up taking this paper. It's not where I began, but it's where I ended up taking this paper. The core research question I explored is how can archaeological findings at Treblinka validate and support survivor testimonies, and what does this suggest about the relationship between material evidence and memory in Holocaust historiography? Treblinka, unlike the maybe more well-known Auschwitz, was eradicated from the grounds of Poland by the Nazis. As a result, it has been especially vulnerable to denialist narratives, and not just denialists, because it's a bit hyperbolic, but more like skeptics undermining the amount of casualties. But the challenge that this posed was how to prove that it existed, A, B, to what extent were the mass casualties. So that's what this paper dives into. I relied on two dominant methodological streams. The first one was testimony analysis, first-hand accounts of survivors such as Yankel, Wiernik, and Abraham Krzepicki. Well, these testimonies offered really detailed descriptions of the physical layout of Treblinka. So the second dominant methodological stream was material culture and forensic evidence. So I examined the background work of Caroline Sturdy Colls. She works with the Staffordshire University team. Her team's non-invasive archaeological techniques ended up unearthing hundreds of artifacts that match the precise details in Wiernik and Krzepicki's accounts. My main conclusion is that the archaeological evidence found at Treblinka, particularly the stamped clay tiles and personal effects, powerfully corroborates the eyewitness accounts that were once dismissed or doubted. Colls explains in her article, the discovery of tiles and building materials during the archaeological excavation confirmed the location of the gas chambers and the testimonies of witnesses that stated that the floor was covered with red or terracotta tiles. This discovery is especially compelling given that many of the eyewitness accounts referencing these tiles, including those of Wiernik and Krzepicki, were recorded more than 70 years before the excavation took place. So we have these eyewitness accounts from 70 years ago, and then we have modern day archaeology. The two are like creating this really beautiful bridge of confirmation and truth, which for skeptics is very hard to deny. These findings not only reinforce the credibility of survivor testimonies recorded over 7 decades ago, but they also demonstrate that Holocaust denial is not simply a problem of ideology, but one of selective historical reading. Colls directly addresses the skeptic narrative in her work. She asserts that key information is being ignored in Treblinkan reports. For example, a report from the Central Commission for the Investigation of German Crimes in Poland states, at the present time, no traces of it, the camp, are left, except for the cellar passage and the protruding remains of burnt posts, the foundations of the administration building, and the old well. Here and there can also be traced the remains of burnt fence posts and pieces of barbed wire and short sections of paved road. There are also other traces, for example, in the northern part over a surface covering about 5 acres. There are large quantities of ashes mixed with sand, among which are numerous human bones, often with the remains of decomposing tissues. Colls remarks that only the first sentence of this official statement has been popularized in debates about what remains of Treblinkan soil. She writes, only the information contained in the first sentence of the Commission report has been conveyed in popular histories of the camp, and it has been regularly claimed that no traces of Treblinka survive. The limited time frame and specific nature of the aims of these investigations have failed to be considered. If the issues are addressed, it is clear that many of these narratives have been created based on only partial investigations of the physical evidence, and that key observations, such as the presence of surviving remnants, are often omitted. It's very saddening to see that not all of the report is actually being read, and so a lot of would-be historians, I guess I don't want to be rude about it, but a lot of would-be historians that are promoting these minimized versions of the realities that happened are being circulated and they're being published. And so over time, they start to be believed, not because they have credibility, but because they're so loud. This project raised several questions for future exploration. First, how can digital reconstruction, perhaps using AI and 3D modeling, further support education and and memory, especially as the last survivors pass away. I also see potential for comparing Treblinka's post-war memory with other lesser-known Operation Reinhardt camps to better understand why some sites are remembered while others fade into obscurity. So for me, someone who truly loves research and scholarship and hunting down the truth and presenting it in the most authentic and unnervingly raw way possible, this project was very eye-opening to me because it showed me how if we do have lazy scholarship, a lot of truth can be diminished. Also, it was really nice to have something that the Nazis tried so desperately to hide and to destroy and to erase the memory of for modern scholarship, and people like Caroline Sturdy Colls come in and her team and be able to unearth the memories of the victims of Treblinka. So I've really enjoyed this project. I've enjoyed this class as well and getting to have some discussions with classmates, and I'm looking forward to hearing y'all's defenses as well. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I can't wait to listen to what you have to say. Thank you.